And we are back once again. Thank you for tuning in to the Still Knicks Fans podcast. This is episode 7. And I am your man, Ron. And that's my brother, John. Here we go again, bro.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on? Can't believe it's 7 already. So fast.
Time is flying. Time is flying, man. Pretty soon, we're going to be looking at this. We're going to chop it down. What? I can't believe next week is our 100th episode. Man,
That would be pretty dope because we're doing this weekly. So
yeah,
ain't
yeah.
like we're pumping them out like that. So
Yeah, yeah,
100
yeah.
episodes is a real deal if we're
That,
doing it weekly.
that would be fantastic. It would
It
definitely
would
be
be.
something nice. I think hopefully everything, God willing, stays the way it is, and we're able to keep watching basketball and staying healthy throughout this whole ordeal. Because
So true.
still out here, it's still out here.
Yeah, it sure is, man. But yeah, man, this has been great though, man. Like I said, we've been enjoying basketball, especially enjoying New York Knicks basketball. Well, we're gonna go right into it. So I'll let you lead this one. So where are we
Well,
going with it this
hey
week?
man, I think this week we had a few more games than we've been getting lately on the schedule. So I think we should just kind of get into how the Knicks performed. Maybe what we've seen from them as far as different things they look like they've worked on or still need to improve. We can still mention our stock rises and stock fallers a little later. We'll go into the schedule about what they got going on in the next week or so, and
Nice.
we'll do our still Nick fans thing.
That's what's up, man. I'm looking forward. This is fun. This is fun. Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, all right.
So what we at? Five games this week. That's what we hit. We were at 5 games
Yeah,
this week.
yeah. I think one thing we will, keep as a tradition is me going into my humble pie moment because I made some predictions and
Uh-huh,
uh,
uh-huh.
and didn't necessarily go as planned. But you know what? This
Right.
is good. This is good because sometimes the Knicks will, surprise me a little bit, and I gotta be, ready to deal with that. Okay.
Right.
So
Right. Right. Right.
I just want to say first off that I did think that the Knicks were going to beat the Clippers today. Right. That was my like whoa pick. Hey, this
Okay.
is gonna
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. 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 I
Yeah,
remember.
that didn't work out.
That didn't
That didn't
happen.
work out too well.
We played well though, man. We played well. I'm gonna give you that.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
were moments in today's game where I was like, we might pull one off. There were moments.
Yeah, yeah, no, no. They definitely played hard. So,
Yeah.
really quickly, I think I had the Knicks winning 2 games this week. I think that was
Yes.
a part of my prediction, right? I think
It was.
one of those games was the Cavaliers, and I think
Yes.
the other one was the Clippers.
Correct.
Um, so I mean, I got one of them right.
Yeah. Yeah. The other one came against the Warriors. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that one?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, yeah, the Knicks didn't beat the Trailblazers and they didn't beat the Jazz.
Right.
Um, and of course, they wound up losing to the Clippers. So, I mean, beating the Cavaliers was a good win, and so I'm
Yeah.
happy. I'm happy that they did that, and so I'm not that upset about the fact that they didn't. But getting into the week,
Yeah.
um, what do you think about how they came, out and played these games after the showing they had in the previous week? Because in the previous week, they beat the Celtics and they
Mm.
beat the Warriors. So those 2 games alone puts them on a little bit of a high, right? They feel good
Right.
about themselves. They did wind up losing to the Kings, which put a damper on things. And I think the end of that week, what we had already filmed the podcast, was the Trailblazers, right?
Yeah.
But this week coming into this week, knowing that they got to face the Trailblazers, the Jazz, the Cavaliers, and the Clippers, what do you
Mm.
think about how they actually came out and approached the week and how they played?
I thought they played. I mean, barring this road trip was tough. So I mean, that's you playing late games. You travel to the West Coast. You played back to back late games. Um, then we did a quick turnaround to the East Coast and played the Cavaliers right after that. So I thought they did great in comparison. Could they have won some of those games? Could they have come away with some with some timely hoops at the end? Possibly, but for me, it's like I'm expecting these games to be tough on the Knicks.
Mhm.
They're a young team. They haven't been in tough situations yet. This is only going to their character. You know what I mean? Like losing games like this can only build your character and teach you how to be in games like this. In my opinion, this is what learning is about. This is the education part of it. It's like I gotta go travel and play back-to-back games, play these late games, come back into the East Coast, play an early game. You know what I mean? So you have to get accustomed to all of that. But I think overall, I think the coaching staff has gotten them ready and prepared for these games, and they've been, for the most part, they've been able to like be close enough to make a run in the fourth quarter. Like they haven't really gotten like smashed out the box. I mean, maybe. I mean, you could consider that 20-point lead. Was that the Kings game where they were down 20 and they had to come back?
Yeah, they did have to come back against the Kings. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it was one of those games that is like, okay, and you like to see that sort of effort, but coming back from so much, and that third quarter is always going to be the quarter that we have to look at. When it comes to the Knicks, like, can we stay true and keep a lead, or stay close to a team in the third quarter, so then when going into the fourth quarter, we aren't too far behind.
Right.
That's what we've seen today. Actually, I think we were only down six I mean, after the third quarter,
Hmm.
possibly. But those are the games. That's the kind of learning that I want to see from this young Nick team. Um, and we're starting to get healthy again, right? So guys have come back. We got a healthy Burke. We got, I think, uh, what's the young Bullock came back today. So we didn't see much of Knox. However, we haven't seen much of Knox in just regular games either. So, hopefully he's starting to learn more and they're getting in his ear. But for the most part, I like the way they came at today's game. They played hard. They rebound together as a team. They're listening to their coaching. You know what I mean? I like the way Barrett's come out aggressive. I like that we're not just relying um, on Randall to be everything for this team. It seems like they're giving the ball more to Barrett. These like more and more. He's
Hmm.
starting to become one of the main focal points of this team, and you start to see that you know they're working off of each other more and more. So I like seeing that. And quickly is coming to his own. And
Yeah.
that's the sort of maturation you want to see during the season. Right now, everyone's going to start looking at quickly as a potential rookie of the year candidate now, because he strung together about 3 or 4 good games back to back. So for me, this is what I was expecting this year to be.
Hmm.
They're gonna win more games than I expected them to be honest. I really do, because I didn't expect them to win more than 20, 25 games, and surprisingly, they're probably looking at close to 30 if they can keep this up. So that's all I got, man. I think I'm enjoying it, man. I'm enjoying watching them. Seeing them learn. How about you? What are your thoughts?
I think that you are absolutely right, man. I think that the way they have been playing has shown to me that the team has a lot of heart. You know, they look like they're like sometimes you get one of those things where you have a young team and you're wondering if they're really like learning what's happening, or they're just going through the motions and just playing. But this
Right.
team seems like they're actually learning. They even I mean, I look at just how they approach every game. Sometimes, okay, you have a certain game plan and maybe they don't come out and execute it the way they would like to. Because I think some of the problem with the Knicks is they get off to bad starts. And then they rebound quickly, right? So getting into the end of the first quarter, going into the second quarter, they start to find their footing and they start to, do their thing, and it starts to kind of be one of those where they're playing exactly how they want to play. But then they come out in the second half, in that third quarter, for whatever reason, being that they don't get off to good starts, the third quarter, it happens all over again. So then you get into, you're playing catch up going into the fourth, and in the fourth quarter, everybody knows that that's the winning quarter. The team that
Yeah.
you're playing is going to try their best to keep the lead or get a lead, depending on what's going on. Like, everything goes in the fourth quarter, and I think that's one of the things that the Knicks have to break. They've got to figure out a way to come out and get off to good starts in the first. Like, maybe it's not just the third, maybe it's the first and the third. Even though I've been saying since we've been doing the podcast that the third
Right.
quarter has always kind of been that Knick quarter that I'm like, this matters. If they come out and have a good third quarter, it looks
Hmm.
good for the game. But I like the first and third thing. They need to have a good first and a good third quarter. I think
Right.
those are keys. And I think that, with regards to how they've been playing lately, even when they've lost, they
Hmm.
have been playing pretty good these past week or so, coming out the gate with their first quarter. They've
Yeah.
been showing.
I would even say sometimes with the third quarter, like the Jazz game was interesting because we were up in the third quarter during the Jazz game. I think we came out the half and then we were up a few, and and then they went on the run. I think that's part of the problems, like the intensity. You know, I think that other teams are starting to bring the intensity a lot more,
Mhm.
and they just. I think also the zone. It's something that they're learning how to like learning how to their offensive schemes around the zone. I think that's the thing, and they have to continue to believe in their shots because they're giving up a lot of they're not taking the shot, the wide open shot. It seems like they're giving up on the wide open shot, even though they could take it. And they probably given the green light to take it, but it seems like they aren't comfortable taking that shot. Like I seen Randall today do that a few times. He gave up that shot, and it's like you got to shoot it when it's there for you, and you can't because then you give the defense an opportunity to collapse on you, and that's been part of our problem is that we're taking worse shots instead of taking the open shot that you're given. Rivers had the same situation happen to him where he wasn't taking his shot. He was taking a harder shot or just dribbling into traffic and then having to like pull the ball back out and like you now you're against the clock. So, these are the things where I want to see them maturing, but I think that's also learning how to break the zone. I
Right.
did enjoy that parts of the game where they went to Randall kind of like at the high post, to break down that zone.
Hmm.
And then he
Hmm.
can, he can either take it to the basket or shoot it from there. He's capable. So hopefully we see more of that. And Randall was really coming to his own with that mid range game, and I think that's super important.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think Randall is definitely very confident right now about his game. I don't think there's anything that he feels he can't do out there. And I also think that he's starting to get real comfortable understanding that he can, depend on his teammates. But if
Hmm.
his teammates don't necessarily have it going, he can still have that moment where he starts to turn it on. I think that's what I'm starting to notice with him. Like, he understands that he's got to get other people involved, but if they aren't doing what they need to do, he can just
Hmm.
turn it on, man. He can just go out there. He can score many different ways. Sometimes his 3-point shot is not necessarily falling, but that doesn't hurt him because he's strong enough. He gets into the lane whenever he wants.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's bode well for the rest of the team, knowing that, because I think one of the things in basketball is when you have a guy, no matter who it is, I'm not saying he is definitely that guy yet, but when you have a guy who is the dude on the team, like, that's the guy who gets buckets, he commands all the attention. A lot of
Right.
times the rest of the players, they stand around, they watch, or um,
Yeah.
if things aren't going necessarily well, they're looking for that person to bail them out. You know,
Right.
I think Randall's becoming that guy, but I also think it's a good thing because the other guys feel confident. Hey, let me go out there and I'll try to take this shot or I'll try to do this because I know we got Randall. We'll get our offense back the way it needs to go. I think that's helping them too. They're getting
Right.
more confidence. I think it's helping RJ really. I think
Yeah.
RJ is realizing, hey, Randall's out here. He's going to do what he's got to do. He's getting his buckets. He's getting, putting us in a good position. So let me do me and try to get my game going. And it's been
Yeah.
shown because RJ's been playing great.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And again, that goes also show that they're working on some things. They had a couple of days they were able to practice and add some more sets, because you could start seeing that they're adding sets to their offensive scheming. So I like to see that Barrett's the focal point there. And I'm sure they're going to slowly develop each and every one of them. I think it's easier for quickly because it seems like they give him the green light to go. You know
Right.
what I mean? Go at your own pace, kid. You got this. They trust in him, and I think part of that trust comes to he's a really good free throw shooter. You know what I mean? And if you can knock down free throws and you're capable and you're not just making boneheaded mistakes, then the coach is going to rely on that ability, and I think he's showing that. And I'm glad to see this happening. But like I said, overall, I really enjoyed the way the Knicks have played in the last few weeks. I have nothing bad to say about them. I mean, they're gonna run into situations when they're gonna have it one night. Randall ran into it where he didn't have a good night, from time to time, but he did other things. He rebounded the ball well, he was there defensively, and I think that's the most important part, where we don't see the team giving up anymore. We don't see players giving up on their teammates. They're backing each other up, even Noel. And I've been our hardest critic on Noel as a center. You know what I mean? I don't believe that should be his true position,
Mm-hmm.
but he's done a fantastic job as a backup, and he's brought energy, and I think that's all we can ask. Of course, we would like him to be stronger. Of course, all of those physical attributes that he doesn't have.
Right.
You know, but he's played there. He's been there defensively. I just enjoyed it, man. I'm really impressed by the way of how much they've gotten out of their team so far.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think they're feeling like they belong in the league, even
Mm-hmm.
though they're still pieces away from being a real contending team. They're
Mm-hmm.
playing like they could beat anybody on any given night. It's just all about execution and doing
Mm-hmm.
what they need to do to win, which sometimes it doesn't always work out the way you'd like it to, right?
Yeah.
Um, which is kind of evidenced by when they played Portland. You know, they went out there, and I think that they had a plan to work against what Portland was doing, and it somewhat was working. The problem with Portland is Portland was playing a really good zone against them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, it was kind of it's almost like I feel like they took a page out of Sacramento's playbook, because I think Sacramento was playing a very good zone against the Knicks, and that's funny because Sacramento is the worst defensive team in the league, right? But
Right.
but
Very similar though. You're right. Very
yeah,
similar games.
yeah, and the funny thing is, it made me think a little bit. Like in college basketball, usually a lot of those games you see these young college teams, they're all playing zones because that's how they play basketball. It's just moving the ball
Right.
all around to get a shot. I feel
Right.
like with Sacramento, being that they're not a good defensive team, the zone actually worked to their benefit.
Right.
One, it's good against the Knicks because the Knicks struggle, to find perimeter offense, and
Mm-hmm.
two, it's easier for a poor defensive team to play a zone.
Right.
So
Right.
I wasn't really surprised when they won. I was looking at it and I was like, wow, this is really smart. But they were
Plus,
doing
they're built similar too, right? They're fast up front. They got really quick, athletic players. Um, both teams have really strong point guard play.
uh,
So it's you could also say by them playing a zone allows for those point guards to take a rest from time to time. You know what I
nah,
mean?
it's a good
Because
point.
then the pressure isn't on them to be faced up one on one against any opposing player. You know, and De'Aaron Fox is one of the quickest guards in the league, and then Damian Lillard is a killer. So you know what I
Certified
mean?
assassin, man.
He's an assassin. Like there's no listen. What he did yesterday against the Bulls was crazy. So out of context is just like that's the guy right now. I don't think there's anyone as elite in this game as he is right now. Like he is top notch, top three at the very least.
Yeah, yeah.
In 2021.
No, he's the
So
man. Yeah,
he
he's
is
he's he's
legit.
the guy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know, man. I think that showed me a lot. I do like the fact that one, I think the Knicks played poorly against the zone against Sacramento from an offensive standpoint. They didn't
right.
do what they needed to do. It was too much individual guys trying to get a shot through it instead of moving the
Mhm.
ball to find the right guy to pin it.
Right.
And I think that same thing translated and happened when they played Portland. So
Hmm.
the fact that they couldn't, win the game down the stretch, that
Right.
shows.
Although quickly put up some numbers that game, right?
Yeah,
He showed that he could stand alone, like he could play up to the opposition. Excuse me. And I really seen that as a plus plus. It's like, oh, wait a minute. There's a shining little light right there, a little shining star on our team. So that was fun to watch, because you didn't see that in the Kings game. You know what I mean? Where you
right.
seen more of that. I think the one-on-one play was more Randu and Alfred was trying to get in there and score some buckets, and I think a little bit of RJ, but RJ was still working out that his mid range at that point. I don't think he was
Mhm.
really in that yet, but you seen some a little different on the Portland game. You've seen some guys really show up. Barrett being one, quickly another, where they showed up and they were hitting shots. I would say that.
No, I agree with you. I think that quickly he's definitely starting to show that he's not your average rookie. Like he is. There's something in that kid. I want to call him a kid because I feel old now, but he is
Well,
a
we
kid.
are old.
Yeah, he's a kid, compared to me, but he's a young man. So I want to say
Yeah,
that he's got something in him
great.
that definitely shows that he can somehow become one of the big players in this game. Doesn't mean he's going to be a superstar or whatever, but you see something special in him. He's
Listen, this
showing
is
me
three
something.
games. This is 3 games in a row where you see and even before that, you see some sparks here and there. But if he starts if he continues to be consistent in his play off the bench, again, the conversation is going to be about rookie of the year. You know what I mean? And right now, I think from what I heard in the post game, he is scoring more than any other rookie in the fourth quarter. He's putting up better numbers in the fourth quarter than any other rookie. So that to me, that's big. Especially if you're playing, crunch time minutes. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I saw a stat earlier today, or was it yesterday? Even though I hate these stats because
mhm.
they give you a snapshot of what is going on, but I hate the per 36 minute stats because,
Right,
yeah, I mean, things could look a lot better if you add another 10 minutes on things, but that doesn't mean that
right,
person's going to get those 10 minutes. But anyway,
true.
I think it was per 36 minutes. Quickly was averaging um, like 22.5 points compared to like Porzingis, who was 22.3. It's just, it was
Right, right.
interesting. It was interesting because,
Yeah,
he's at the point where he's starting to command a lot of attention. Like people around the league are looking at quickly, and he's
yeah.
not disappointing because
He's
you
not
see.
shying away from it at all.
No, he's not at all. I mean, you see the game against the Cavaliers. He had a really solid basketball game,
Mhm.
and I think he was the key to the Knicks winning that game. Um, but then go from that game and you go to the game today against the Clippers, and he puts up the same amount of points against the Clippers team, which is an elite team in the league. So
Right.
it's really about him and his talent. It doesn't matter who he's
Mhm.
playing against, as long as he comes out and does what he needs to do, he's going to
Right.
produce and give you those same type of stats. The kid's special. That's kid.
He
And
is
man
he's
special.
yeah, he's doing great work, man. I mean, like I said before, it's all a matter of like, is he being put in good positions? I mean, he's obviously skillful. He has that teardrop down packed.
I'm surprised. He does have the teardrop down. Um, I was hoping that he was going to work and develop that teardrop.
Yeah. Oh, we just broke up a
Uh-oh.
little bit
Hello.
here.
I think
So
yeah. Okay. You good? We're back. All right. Sorry, we had a little
yes, we're
technical.
back. Go ahead.
Okay. No. You were saying he was with the teardrop.
Yeah. I was saying at first, when you first look at the teardrop that he puts up, you kind of like question like, okay, is this part of his game? Is it, it doesn't look, it kind of looks like it isn't so athletic, but it seems like he's worked on it for a very long time because he knocks it down on a regular basis. He doesn't get a lot of lift on it, but he's super consistent with it. And it's going to be hard for people to protect the rim, especially when you have a Mitchell Robinson playing pick and roll with him there. You know what I mean? Because that's
Hmm.
an easy lob. So I think he takes full advantage of that. He really is a student of the game. You see him utilize off of pick and rolls and keep defenders behind him. He really has that down packed as well. He's put that into his game. So I just think he's learning and he's maturing. The next thing that I heard Walt Frazier say was if he develops a mid-range game, right? Like right inside or even a pull-up game where he gets by the free throw line and instead of throwing a teardrop, he kind of pulls up for a jump shot. That he may be even more lethal because at that point, how can you stop that? You don't know if he's going to go teardrop. You don't know if he's going to pull up for a short jump shot or he's going to
Yeah.
just drop it off to Mitchell Robinson. And I thought that was an amazing point by Walt Frazier. But I love his game, man. I think we got something in him, and I'm hoping that we continue to help him grow and develop, and not taint any future growth for him. Or I'm hearing a lot of things in the rumor mill, so that's a concern for me.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I hope that would be great. A great addition to his game if he can, add that little jumper because I feel like, he has good command of his little teardrop. And I will say, I'm not a big fan of the teardrop shot, but
Right.
if I had to allow one of the guys, like it was up to me, and I had to allow one of my guys in the team to do that teardrop, I feel very confident with Quickly. He seems
Yeah.
to have a lot more control over it than anybody else on the team.
Yeah.
Um, but I would be great because I feel like it's much easier to shoot a two-handed shot than a one-handed shot, right? So,
Right.
but
The
yeah,
game's
man.
changed, man. So, you don't see that a lot anymore. It was interesting to see Kobe mature into the player he became because he took that and it became an elite scorer with that mid-range game. You know what I mean? And like he would drive to the basket and just like pull up for a fadeaway jump shot from that point. And you can't defend that, especially if you practice that on a regular basis. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. I definitely I think that if that's gonna be your thing, that you're gonna have to keep it going and you're gonna have to continue to work on it. Because one of the things about this new Knicks squad that we have, especially these young guys, they seem
Mhm.
to get in the gym and work. Quickly is probably number one on the list. Maybe Barrett's number two. I hope that type of work ethic translates and spills over to guys like Obi Toppin
Right.
because I really I don't understand why I can't see a little bit more from Obi yet. But I'm hoping that it's going to happen. I'm hoping that they figure out ways to incorporate him into the offense more. So I think right now he's not playing like they're not.
Do you think they're stifling him though? Do you think that you think that's a coaching decision, or you think that he's not just in the right spots or isn't ready to make that move?
I don't think they're stifling him on purpose. I think it's a part of the offensive flow. the way that they have envisioned how the Knicks should be playing, and it's not a fault of the coaches because maybe the coaches are right. Because remember, there's a reason why these teams are playing zone against the Knicks because they're having problems shooting, right? So
Right.
why go away from a game plan that works offensively for the whole team only to do something to try to get one player, going if that's
Right.
not going to help the overall, output from the team. That I
Yeah.
understand, but it's not a benefit to Obi. Running Obi off of little screens, but moving him to the 3 point line like he's a stretch four or whatever, stretch three. Stretch four, I guess a 3 point, a small forward should be at the three. But
Yeah.
I don't think that's great for his game. The guy can shoot it, but he's not a 3 point shooter. He should be
Right.
trying to get into the lane or shoot a little mid range. He should be working on those type of things. But right
Yeah,
now,
no, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. I just like that move he did today to the basket, and then he just like shoot that. You got to shoot that. You got to take what's when they give you an opportunity to get yours up, you got to get them up. You can't just rely that they're going to hit you off a pick and roll. You get you get the ball to the basket in a position to score. You got to try to score it. I think in his mind, he has to be more aggressive because you can't drop that down to Gibson, who wasn't even prepared for that. Yeah, that's not a play that anyone. You go in for a rebound, you don't expect someone to drop a pass to you. So for me, I just think he has to take the shots that are given to him when they're giving it to him. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
take the three, drive to the basket, but don't drive and kick. Drive and try to score the bucket. There was a couple of times where he drove and he's looking to kick. You're not going to do anything there. You got to drive to the basket, look to score, and then pass second. That's in my opinion. You got to take what they can give you,
Yeah,
because he's
yeah,
not a Knox. You're right. He's not a Knox. He's not going to just wait and try to shoot threes all day. I don't know. I think it's I think for me it's more. I think it's both. I think the coaching wants him to play a certain position. I think they have him more as a three when he's in there with Randall, and then when he's not, he's playing the forward position. You know what I mean? And depending who's out there with him, like if it's Burke, I think Burke was out there with him for most of the game today.
right.
But he isn't aggressive enough at this point. He needs to be more aggressive, in
Yeah,
my opinion. And I think it may happen. It may happen because there are moments there where you look like, oh, is he gonna go? And then he doesn't go. So we'll see. We'll see. It's early. In my eyes, have we hit 30 games yet?
no, no.
So it's early. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like I want to. I think he has to play with that second unit consistently more with Burks and with Rivers and quickly. And I think it's just going to come. It's going to end up coming where he's going to figure it out, and then he's going to start rolling. And at that point, who knows?
yeah. No, I agree with you because um, I would like maybe 5 to 6. Let's say you say let's work on 5 or 6 plays to get Obi open.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Obi's the one thing about Obi is he's got a good motor. I see that
Yeah.
kid running up and down the court. I keep calling
Mm-hmm.
people kid, but they're all younger than me. Anyway,
They're all young.
um, I see him running up and down the court, and
Right.
he is like the Energizer Bunny. He's got energy. So
Mm-hmm.
and when there was a play against the Cavs where it was somebody missed at the hoop, and Cavs took the ball and they were running back down the court, and Obi was sprinting like he's like
Yeah.
all effort, which
Yeah.
it kind of reminded me of Iman Shumpert a little bit because I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
you remember when Iman Shumpert first came into the league with the Knicks, he was on 100.
All the
That,
time.
yeah, that was a little bit of a problem, and that's also the reason why he got hurt.
Right.
Because he played extremely too fast.
Right.
You got to slow yourself down and play within the game. And I think
Right.
Obi's going to get there, but I would like it would be great if Tibbs did like 5 or 6 plays for Obi, have him run around, maybe double screens, and just dash to the hoop, backdoor pass, easy dunk, whatever it is, just to get him good looks closer to the
Yep.
rim and let his natural athletic ability or what have you take over. You don't
Yep.
have to do too much. Just give him a couple nice looks like that, and I think that will help his confidence. You get a
Mm-hmm.
better defensive output from him because he'll be in the game.
Right.
So things like that would be great. Um,
That may happen though, right? We're coming up on a schedule where we're gonna have 2 back-to-backs, and then we got a stretch,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
true.
so we're gonna have some time to practice this upcoming week, and then we have like weekend games. So that may be a possibility. I could see that happening. I mean, we've seen it during their last break where they had an opportunity to practice and add sets for Barrett. There could be some sets for Obi brought in. At least that's the hope. I'm hoping. I know you are. So let's see how this practice works out, and see if we come out of that with some stuff from Obi. Because quickly, you ain't got to worry about quickly. He's figured it out. And guys like Rivers can get their own shots. They just got to be in the game, and like mind wise, that they have to be in it. Because if they check out, then you see a performance like that happened today. And Bullock, he's been scoring. He's playing his defense. Burke back, gives you some versatility. So I think we got some nice elements there. We'll see how we develop, man. I don't. For me, it's like once we hit that halfway mark, then we know what kind of team we're dealing with. Until
Right.
then, we don't necessarily know. And hopefully, people continue to be healthy. If they're healthy all the way to the halfway point, then you know what we have.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And the reason why, talking about Obi and even other players on the team being able to be confident and go out there and get their shot and help the team is because, there's not so much more of this that's going to keep going on before the rest of the league says, you know what, we got to take
Right.
this young man quickly out of the game. Okay, when Quickly gets the ball, we're going to double team him, or if Quickly goes to come into the lane, he's getting a double. And when he gets that double, he's got to be able to kick it to somebody, and they got to be able to step up. And that's going to happen sooner than later. I mean, I think after this week, the book is going to be out on Quickly. They're going to be looking at him.
Yeah, I think there are parts of that too that they've I think there's some teams who've tried that from time to time, but he's very slick with his game. Like he's very crafty. He's crafty. So I think there've been some teams who've tried to lock in on him, and there have been moments where you see him kind of jumping in the air trying to pass, and not so great. There have been moments, but he's super crafty that he's able to get his shot up, and I think that's important. But also the team around him has to hit shots, right? Because when he's doubled, he's able to find the open man, and if they're not hitting their shots, then that collapse becomes, it becomes a tool on someone's defensive, side. But as long as we're hitting shots, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, no,
so at least quickly we'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Well, speaking of Quickly and how he's been playing, I mean, I think that today was one of those games where I didn't know exactly what to expect. I had predicted that the Knicks were going to win this game, but this was more of me like an upset. It wasn't for sure, hey, this is the reason they're going to win. I just was hoping that they were going to just step up, come to play, and maybe the Clippers weren't going to be on their A game. Fortunately, we kind of got like the Clippers B+ game. It wasn't the A game necessarily because they didn't come out like firing at will in the beginning, but it started to show up later.
They shot a whole lot of threes and made a whole lot of threes, man. That team could shoot, man.
Yeah, no. The Knicks kind of somehow kept them at bay. I think the first quarter the Clippers were just kind of, feeling the game out, trying to see, pick their spots. Because you knew it was coming. When you got guys like, I mean, I saw people checking in and Zubac was coming in, then I saw Marcus Morris, and I'm like, I was like, oh no. Like
they just keep coming.
This is rough.
And mind you, they didn't have Beverly was out and Batum was out. So Batum is a legit pro, right? Like he can hit the 3 open shot. He's a defensive player. You know what I mean? He's been around the league a long time. So he's a legit veteran who can knock down threes and defend. Then you got Beverly. He's a defensive stopper. He's a kid who's gonna get up on you and not make it easy. Like you're gonna have to run around and get away from him. So, and then they were out today. And then who was that? The Patrick. What was it? Patterson.
Patterson, yeah.
Patterson. shooting lights out, and he was 6 for 21.
I
And he
mean,
came, he opened shots though, but he knocked them down.
yeah, but he's kind of used to that role from Houston because that's what he used to do
Yeah,
with Houston. So yeah,
exactly. So you got guys who can knock down shots, and then Reggie Jackson played an amazing game. I mean, he's a point guard. He can score. He's a bigger point guard, so he's going to defend really well. They got a lot of really talented players on that team. So
and there's a difference
anything less than a
between
championship, for
yeah, it's
that team.
championship or bust.
Exactly.
And you can see that there's a difference between them and the Knicks or other teams.
Yeah.
Look at the way they played, right? And you're highlighting some of the positives from their game and the guys that got on the team. Yet,
Yeah.
the Knicks broadcasters were talking about how they feel they need more help in the backcourt. They're not,
Right.
So like there's the difference between an elite championship team who knows that they're good, but they want
Yep.
to be even better to make sure they get that championship, victory at some point.
Right. Yeah, I would imagine that they would look into trading some pieces to Cleveland for Drummond, seeing that they need to move Drummond. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Well,
But
I tell you, Drummond's got a lot of people that are looking to acquire his services because
yeah,
apparently rumors are saying that the Nets really want to get him and put them on their squad. If the Nets wind up with Drummond and they keep Harden and they got Durant and
right.
they got Kyrie,
hmm
sick to my stomach.
Which that doesn't make much sense though, because they just made a trade and got rid of Allen. You know what I mean? So
Right.
to kind of like do a double trade there, I don't see how they can manipulate the situation that way. I don't see that happening.
Well,
I
I
really
know.
see Drummond going somewhere else.
Yeah, I apparently, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how that will work. I don't know if they're just talking straight trade or what their plan is, or the Cavs talking about. Um, no, they wouldn't do that. But
It
I don't
wouldn't
know.
make sense to go. Who are you going to trade? DeAndre Jordan for Drummond? That doesn't make any sense. So I don't see it. But again, who knows? I've seen Stranger
But you
Things.
know what? It could be a three-way deal where
Stranger Things on
yeah,
Netflix. I've seen. You know what I'm saying?
it could be a three-way deal where they're hoping to get another type of asset back from another team, and maybe
True.
that team would be acquiring like you know
Couple of
somebody
picks and all
from
of that.
because it's a money drop really. They just don't want to. I mean, right now
That
he's
is true.
making 20 something million, and they don't want to pay him next year. They're going to lose him,
True.
so we'll see.
That's why I'm thinking like a team like the Clippers would be in the ball court, for that. I mean, they already paid their guys, so right now they're pretty fixed, and then they can always do like those 1 year options, at a higher, you know, percentage than others, So we'll see. Um, I don't know. There were talks. The Knicks were thinking about it. I was like, what? And I was like, I don't understand that at all. But
Well, I mean, being
who
that
knows?
you're bringing up, Nick talks and rumors and trades,
Yeah.
um, there have been a lot of rumors, um,
hmm
and one of those rumors that has been kind of making the waves was Knicks being in on Bradley Beal.
mm
Um, listen, Bradley Beal is a great player. I think he's the next. If you were looking like who's the next level of superstars after
hmm
the Jordans, the Kobe's, and the LeBrons, I think Bradley Beal's in that list of the next guys that are transitional stars that are taking over the game. I mean, the guy's
Right.
averaging 34 point something points a game, almost 35 points a game.
Right.
Um, but I would love to have him on the Knicks, but I wouldn't want him through trade. I mean, this guy
Mm.
is, he's a star. But you know how much you have to give up from the Knicks
Yeah.
in order to get him. Like I don't know. What do you think about that?
For me, I always look at these trades as what do you do with the guys that you have on this team already? Because the reality is that if you want Barrett to be your star and you're putting, I mean, in my opinion, I think you want to develop Barrett into that player. Unless you're just giving up on him and saying you're never going to become an all-star, you're just going to be a role player, then I would see you going after that. But I don't think that's what the Knicks are trying to do. I think they have. I think that they believe that Barrett could be a potential superstar, and I think they know that he may need some development. But for me, I'm gonna give a chance at I'm gonna take that chance with Barrett, and I'm not gonna go out and get someone who's gonna stifle that kind of growth, you know. And if you give it 4 years, then okay, you gave it 4 years and it didn't work out. However, and I like Beal, but however, I would say the complete opposite for Zach LaVine. And this is my theory. My theory is that Zach doesn't come with the kind of baggage when it comes to injuries. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he can play kind of the 2-3, where Bradley Beal is kind of a 1-2. You know what I mean? He doesn't really play the third three position. He's not the greatest of defenders, you know. So for me, I would look into more of a Zach LaVine move than I would a Bradley Beal move. But again, with that is going to come the part on where now Barrett's going to have to take the back seat. You make a move like that, Barrett automatically takes a back seat because you have Randall. Unless you're moving Randall in a trade that's for it's like a one-on-one, you know what I mean? Like you're moving Randall with that option of with other players to get a Zach LaVine or Bradley Beal. But then we got Toppin, so you can, now that gives Toppin an opportunity to play his natural position too. So I don't know. I haven't really followed the trade market like that, but it just doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like the Knicks are willing to part ways with guys who they feel they have a future with. Plus they got them on the cheap now. So if you can build them and you can keep them on a kind of a rookie contract or a young contract, you don't have to pay, the high salaries, maybe
Right.
down the line, you probably worry about that, but
Yeah.
not right now, so that's my 2 cents.
No, listen, I agree with you. And, I if the Knicks had to make a trade, say if they had to make a trade, I'd much rather them target someone like a Zach LaVine.
Mm-hmm.
One, you know, because it would cost less to get him. You'd still have to
Mm-hmm.
give up something, yes, but it would cost less to get him. And I
Would
think
it? Is he not on? I don't even know what his contract is like.
he's still got 2 years. This year, and he's got next year. He's making 19 million,
Oh, that's a
which is
great.
not bad.
That's amazing.
Yeah, as opposed to Beal, who's making,
Yeah,
oh
he's in
boy,
the
he's
upwards of
he's
what,
upwards
30,
high 20s, but
high
it's
20s.
it escalates.
Right.
So there's that difference, right? And then the other thing is, I think, well, with both players, I think they're both disgruntled. They're not happy with the team makeup that they have. But I think Beal wants to play for, he's been in the league for a while. He's an elite player now. I think he wants to
Right.
play for a winner, but like a winner who
Plus,
has a,
he's also sharing the ball with Westbrook. That can't be easy.
yeah, well, that's never
They're the
easy.
same kind of players, though,
Yeah,
too.
yeah. No, I mean, you're right. I mean, they occupy the same space.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. I think with Levine, it's kind of wild because the Bulls have not been playing bad. They've got some nice, good pieces on the team. They
Yeah.
seem to
They
be.
have a winning record, right?
No, they got a losing record. They're a little worse than the Knicks record.
Oh,
Last,
really?
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
but they're right underneath them.
Okay.
So they've won some good games, but they're just, I don't know. I think he's just not happy at this
Right.
point. So that's the thing. Like, would they be able to go out and get Levine without giving up too much? Because trades like this, you're gonna have to give up one of these guys. It's either quickly, it's RJ, or it's Obi.
I'm not willing to part ways with any of them, to
I
be
understand.
honest.
I hear you. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. That's the
That's
thing. Um, and I think a much more uh, uh if you but see, that's the other thing. What's the point of making a trade like this? You want to make a trade to acquire some talent, right? But are the Knicks going anywhere this year? Probably not.
I'm not. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so why go out there and do like a pseudo Carmelo Anthony type thing where you're trying to bring in one of these guys, you're giving up good players to get him, and then when he gets here, he's got limited people around him. So he's in, you're in the same situation.
Still
Then
in a
you,
rebuild phase, right?
yeah. But one guy that I was thinking about who maybe like a Bradley Beal light. I
A
say,
light.
yeah, would be like
Uh-huh.
a Buddy Hield.
That makes sense. But that's for that would be for like, players like that we have like that aren't really hitting the floor. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I wouldn't mind moving, Knox and Frank for something like that. There's potential there. Buddy Hield, does he start with that team? He does, right?
I believe he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So you may have to give up a couple of players and maybe one or two draft picks.
and
We have plenty.
that I'm okay with
So
because the Knicks
right,
got a glutton at the guard spot, but that doesn't
right,
mean they're all necessarily pieces that are going to play for them too often. But
right. So
the
who do you give up, Bullock or you give up Burks on that move?
uh,
Because Frank and Knox would have to be a part of that trade. You know that
yeah,
because
yeah,
no one's taking DSJ right now,
yeah. I think
unfortunately.
you
So,
got to give up Frank
but
and
yeah,
and
Frank
Knox.
Knox, of course, a pick, and then which one of the other guards? Because it's got to be either Bullock, because you got to make room for Buddy Hield. What are you gonna do?
Point.
He's a
I
two
mean,
guard. He's a
I
three
can't
guard. A 2-3.
I can't believe I'm saying this because me and Bullock, I don't know, we just had this love hate now. Now, I actually like Bullock and I like his game more now. So I would want to keep Bullock if we could, and maybe part ways with Burks.
Burks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
For me, it's like it's one or the other. You got to get rid of one of them to make room for Buddy Hield because there aren't that many guys. Because Rivers is staying. Rivers ain't going nowhere.
right.
And then you got Quickly and Rivers, so you obviously need someone to play the 3-2 position. So
Yeah,
you're just not going to have an influx of players waiting to get playing time, especially guys like Bullock and Burks who have played the pro game and they expect to play some minutes on the court. So,
that's a good
um,
point.
you
Yeah,
know,
that's interesting though. I would love for the Knicks to kind of really poke at Sacramento and see what's the temperature on Buddy Hield
what's the
because
asking off us?
yeah, because the one thing about Sacramento is they're a little stacked over there at the guard position,
Right,
with Hield and with uh,
Halliburton and
Halliburton and with Fox, and there's somebody else they got over there too. Like they
they
got
got
a
a couple of
lot.
young kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that it might make sense for them to see and look. I don't know. It's kind of like that's one of those things where GMs really know the competition and what assets they
Mhm.
have because I don't know what
Right.
type of assets Sacramento has. Maybe Sacramento has a bunch of picks themselves because then if that's the case, you
Mhm.
really can't work with them because they already got the pick.
Right.
But
Who when you talk about picks, who they said the one that I found interesting is the conversation about the young player from the Lakers. Because the Lakers aren't going to have a lot of picks.
well, that's true. Yeah.
And what's that young man's name? I can't recall his name.
What
Um,
position?
he's their kind. He was like a rookie last year. He's a young kid. He's like 19 years old. He plays the small forward position.
Um,
I forget the kid's name. But there was early talks about him and folks trying to look into him and because they think he could be a potential, fit for other teams because he's not getting enough playing time with the Lakers. Um, but I wouldn't mind even put sending over a few draft picks to the Lakers for a kid like that who has a lot of upside, can play the power forward, the
oh, you're
small
talking
forward.
about Talen Horton Tucker?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yep.
watched.
Yep.
Yeah, Tucker was getting busy in the preseason when the starters weren't playing. He was
Yeah.
taking over.
He's a
Yeah,
good player.
he's got
He's
some
got
skills.
skill.
Yeah,
So I mean, someone like that. I mean, I think he generally plays a 3, I don't know if he plays the 2, but I think he's a 3, really like a 6'8" player, similar to a LeBron. Maybe a little smaller than LeBron, but
Hmm.
um, I wouldn't mind, looking for something like that and keeping Barrett at the 2. Barrett is, if he plays the 3, he's undersized. I mean, listen, Kawhi was like, "Move over, young buck. You're strong, but not that strong." I was like, "Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeesh." So,
I
I,
mean,
I
yeah,
like Barrett against 2 guards. He's 6'6". He can outmuscle them. He can keep up with them speed wise. And then he's starting to learn that mid range games, which is only going to help him stretch out to the 3-point line. So I would say let's focus. I would, if I was Knicks coaching staff, I would really zone in on keeping Barrett as a 2 versus pushing him to the 3 position.
but the funny thing is, even with these scenarios that I just mentioned, and I didn't even touch on the Derrick Rose scenario, the
Mm.
Knicks need is at the point position. They still need.
Is it though?
Well,
Because we got Quickly. See, this is the thing. I don't want to stifle Quickly's growth, man, because that's what ends up happening. And that's why I was saying earlier, like all the talk. That's why I don't even want to talk about Lonzo Ball or
no,
Derrick
I
Rose.
agree
Like
with you there.
we've been there with Derrick. We know what he can bring, and he's an amazing player. And kudos to him for coming back and being the player who he is today. That's the testament to him and his
Mhm.
fortitude. But like the Knicks got to go young there. We got to give the reins to Quickly, and we gotta have someone like Alfred play the backer role at some point this season. It may not happen like right now, but sooner or later, Quickly is going to be developing into that star point guard that we need and we've been asking for. That's all I want from a player. A player who's going to make good decisions, who's going to be able to hit free throws when it counts. You know, he's got the attributes. So
That he does. He does. You're not lying about that. He does look like he can definitely be something special in the league. Although I didn't like that he had a heat check at one point. That was
he's
like
going to do
somehow.
that.
Yeah, but I didn't like the fact, like, I think Thibodeau should have just
Yeah.
pulled it. And he probably did. Just tell him, look,
Right.
you can try that shot, but when we're up, not when we're down by 10 points.
Yeah. You're going to sit down right next to me.
Yeah.
But listen, that's what you get with young players, right? You
Yeah.
get young players they're gonna shoot their shot. I mean, he seems like he's super aggressive. He's not afraid of of the moment. You know what I mean? He's not afraid of the moment, and that's all you can ask for. A young kid who's got a good head on his shoulders. He ain't gonna. It doesn't seem like he's gonna give you a bunch of like, you know, social media
Right.
situation, that
Right.
you're probably gonna get from a ball or something, or his father. You're not gonna get that. You're gonna get who he is. He's gonna come. He's gonna praise, the Lord, and do right by his family and his mom, and he's gonna
Mm.
play the game the right way. And he's gonna make mistakes along the way. But if he grows within this culture, and he grows within this system, those mistakes would become less and less, in my opinion.
I agree with you. No, you're not wrong about that. I'm with you. I like that. I don't want to stifle his growth either. I still think that the Knicks need to figure out a way. I think the Knicks need another guard who can facilitate as well as hit an open jumper. I think
Mm.
I think that means it's time to make some sort of move. Not now, but maybe closer to the trade deadline. And it's not even just about, how far you can go this year, but it's just about getting somebody who fits the team better going forward. It makes
Right.
the team look more attractive to free agents as well, or to, possible targets. I don't know who that is yet, but the
Mhm.
Knicks, as we get closer to the trade deadline, I think the Knicks, other teams may be coming to the Knicks because the Knicks still do have the most money in the league to absorb. I think they got 17 million, and no other team has that amount of money. So some
Yeah.
team will probably come calling to work out something to get somebody off their books, which a lot of people have said about the NBA that at some point that's going to happen. So we'll see what happens. But
Yeah, no, I agree. They're gonna they probably make a move. I just don't know if it's gonna be a big splash. Like I said, if there's any body that's currently out there who they can potentially get that would be a big splash for me, I would I would pull all my focus on Zach LaVine. if I was the Knicks, because that opens up everything. You have a prime player. I mean, you have a kid, but he's not even 20. Is he 26? I think he may just be 26 now.
Yeah, he may just be.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean? He's young. He can grow with the team that you have already there, the nucleus, the young nucleus. And then you can make other decisions around that, that make sense. But then you don't stifle Barrett's growth, unless you're keeping Randall. Although I don't see you keeping Randall if you get Zach LaVine. But again, I could be wrong. If they make the move, they keep Randall and they get Zach, then they really have a three-way combo there that could be something in the future.
and I actually think that could work. I
You
think that
think?
could work
I don't know.
because you know why I say that, because Randall does need to have the ball in his hands a little bit. Not like all the time, like he's the main facilitator, but I think that helps him now, the way he plays his game, so he does need to have it. RJ, however, RJ looks like he's been taking a back seat and he's comfortable because once he gets the ball, he'll do what he needs to do. So I think he's okay with that. So if you're saying that it's going to be really the two-man game pretty much between Randall and Levine, I think it could work, and I think RJ will still be able to get his points. But I think, and it's not going to affect Quickly because Quickly will come off the bench and do what he's going to do unless they make him a starter, which I don't think they will.
Right. I think though also for Barrett though is that the problem what I have, if we get a Levine and we keep a Randall, then that automatically makes Barrett the third option, right? Automatically. So now you're saying you're definitely going to stifle his growth there, because now you're keeping him at the 3-point line, stretching the floor. That's not his game, right? So how do you get him involved? You may have to create sets for him, possibly. But if Randall's, once you get Zach, Randall becomes a second option. There's no way you're gonna tell me that Randall is still the first option when you got Zach LaVine on the court. You know what I mean? You automatically have to switch the way who's gonna be working, who's gonna be the person who's deciding whether score or kick out. It's gonna have to be LaVine. He has more of the tools that you want in a player like that. He has a consistent handle. You know what I mean? He can break down defenders. He can get to the rim at bay. He leaps out the gym. You know what I mean? And he got a really good 3-point shot that he developed. So you have to go with him. So then now Randall starts becoming the player that you've seen in LA when he played with Kobe. You get what I'm saying? Where he is that second option.
Yeah.
And what do you get? But then you're saying that Barrett has to play like Clarkson. Barrett doesn't have the kind of shooting that Clarkson has.
That's
You get
true.
what I'm saying? So those are the things that I'm looking at. I'm like, I don't know. So for me, if you get a Zach, you almost have to part ways with Randall, But again, who knows? I don't know.
I mean, I guess it all depends. I think it depends less on Barrett and in that situation, more on Randall. What will you get from Randall when he's in that role if Zach LaVine becomes the number one option? Because if his game doesn't translate the same way, then that's when you have a little bit of a problem. Because I agree with you, it would stifle Barrett's growth because it's just that's it. I mean, it would happen that way.
Wouldn't you just prefer to just move Randall and then give Obi and Barrett an opportunity at that point, right? Because the reality is you haven't really seen what Obi can do on the block because you haven't played him at the true power forward position, and he isn't really in the pick and roll game like that. So for me, it's like you get a LaVine, you have to find a place for Randall. You have to move him because you're developing young players and you have to develop them together. You can't just bring another element into it and then say you got two guys, one guy who's 28, one guy who's 26, and they're both in the prime of their career. None of them want to take a backseat to either one of them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So for me, it's like it's the easier to get rid of Randall and keep Barrett, and then Barrett becomes the second option. You know what I mean? And then you bring other guys in within the system. So that's my hope, man. I like Randall. I think he's been great for us. But if you have an opportunity to get Zach LaVine, then you move Randall for maybe some another player or two, and maybe a draft pick, hopefully, because he's playing up to that. standard. He's playing all-star basketball right now. That's interesting. We're talking about Randall. He's going to be an all-star this year. I'm almost certain he's going to be an all-star this year.
I feel like you're right. I think and that's and this is where this is such a weird situation. Like everything you're saying, I agree with, but at the same token, I'm saying to myself, well, then what are what what are we really doing here? You know what I mean? The reason why I say that is because we were in this situation before, albeit it was a little different because of the age of the player and the money the player was making. So you look at that and you say, okay, well, this is more of a no-brainer, but we're here again because we were here last year with Marcus Morris. Marcus Morris played great for the Knicks. I mean, he
So
had
true.
some memorable games in this little time that he had with us, but he had a big contract, and
Yep.
he's older, and that's really not his role. Like what he did for the Knicks is nothing he showed for any other team. Like he
Right.
was given the keys, like, hey, do whatever.
Right.
Now with Randall, who is actually probably having more of an impact than close. Morris was really good last year, but
Yep.
having a similar impact that to what Morris did last year, but he's 26. And so
Right.
this is where I get a little like I understand that he stunts the growth of these other young guys that we're bringing in, but he's
Right.
26. He's still young, and maybe this is the year he turns into this player. Like this is
Right.
who he is going forward. So do you let go of a guy like you're hoping Obi becomes this?
So you moving Obi?
I
How,
don't know,
how do
man.
you move? How do you move Obi at this point? He's a
I
top
don't
draft
know.
pick. Do you move Obi Toppin right now because what you're gonna get with Randall. You know the kind of player he's gonna be. You know what I mean? You know where the upside is because that's what he's playing up to right now. But he becomes the second option if you get a Zach LaVine. And I'm gonna keep going back to that because you can't give Randall the first option anymore. You know what I mean? He wants to be that first option player. So in my mind, you move him. You move him to a place where you're gonna get value for him, and he's gonna be a prime member of a winning team or a system that's developing, and he's the prime guy. He's the
But
main guy. You know
I
what I
don't
mean?
think there's anywhere he can go that he'll be that prime guy because every other team has somebody there, and if he could, yeah, maybe he commands that respect, but I think
Maybe
he's going to be in a similar situation to what he's in with the Knicks. Now, what we
send
have,
him to the Hawks.
yeah, but they've got Trey.
Yeah, but they only have Trey.
Yeah, but Trey's
Who
the
else they
guy.
got? Right, but what I'm saying is that if he doesn't become the number one, he has to be in a team that he is a part of. That
I got it. Like
you
the
get what I'm
lead.
saying? Like
Yeah, no, I hear
he
you.
has to be. He has to go to a like you have to find a value for him that you're gonna get something in return, and also you probably don't work this way where they're looking out for the player. They're mostly looking out for themselves, right? You're hoping that the system fits when you trade a player, but that's not how you generally works. You get the best you can for a player that you have, and that's up to them to make the best of their situation elsewhere. You know what I mean? So if we're looking at it like that, I'm taking a look at Randall as you have an all-star caliber player which could automatically command a player, one or two players, and a draft pick. You know what I mean? That's the reality. It doesn't have to be a first round draft pick, but at least a second round draft pick. But he's going to command at least a 2-player move because he doesn't make a lot of money. He's making what, 14?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So
And
that's
I think he commands a first round draft pick depending on the team. If
right.
a better
Correct.
team, the draft pick will be a little lower. But I think he does command one first rounder. I do believe that.
Correct. So
Um,
if you're the Knicks, why not move that? Because you get more for assets at that point. You have the number one guy in Zach LaVine if you make that move. You know what I mean? And if you don't make the move, then you still got Randall. Like, let's just say if the Knicks make no move, you got Randall right now. And you have to figure out ways in which Obi Toppin becomes a part of this offense and growth. You know what I mean? Because you didn't just draft a first round draft pick just to have him, sitting dormant in the bench. You have to figure out ways to develop his game within the system that you're running. So
I just get concerned. I don't want to lose out on a guy like Randall because of the history of how he's been groomed, to this point.
Mm-hmm.
When he was with the Lakers, he got hurt in the second game of the season, I believe. He missed the whole
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
Then the next season, he can't, it was one of those things where, they already had other players there, so he wasn't the focal point. But,
Mm-hmm.
so he didn't really get a great shot to explore his game, who he was. Then
Okay.
eventually,
It was Kobe's last season, right?
right. Then
Mm-hmm.
eventually the trade happened where he goes to New Orleans, and New
Yeah.
Orleans is with a bunch of guys. Ingram's there, there's Lonzo's there, like there's players, and they already had players on New Orleans. So
Mm-hmm.
he didn't really know. He's learning the game. He's still a young guy, so he doesn't know who he is yet. Then he comes to the Knicks under Fizdale, and he plays a certain way of basketball. Like they make him the number one, but they got him playing like Carmelo, right?
Yeah.
And then this year he comes in. There's a whole different regime, and they're playing him in a different way, asking him to be a facilitator, more of a facilitator, but also get but play within the course of the game. No isolation as much, and
Right.
he's playing really good at that. Maybe he's learning like this is who I am. So I'm just wondering like if we give up on him, could we have
Mm-hmm.
lost out on something special, not knowing what Obi's going to turn into? Because the
Right.
book's still out on Obi. I like Obi, but I don't
Yeah.
know what Obi's going to be. I don't even know if Obi has the same type of skills that Randall has.
Listen, I'm gonna go straight into our stocks right now. That's basically my pick for the stocks. The stock that's dropping is Obi stock. The Obi stock is dropping. That's just what it is right now. And you got the complete opposite with Quickly. Quickly, for me, stock is rising. So you got two rookies right now on two different spectrums, of their season. And you expected the complete opposite. You expected to see Toppin as a front runner in the rookie of the year choice. And
Mhm.
quickly, you were hoping that you were getting somebody for him. You know what I mean? You were hoping that he was going to be a value pick and maybe a contributor somehow. And it's actually he's becoming the rookie star on our team, and Obi is taking the back seat to that. So
Right.
that's my stocks right there. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you ain't lying. I mean, you're right. I think for me, the riser, um, I just want to say I would go with Quickly too. That's the obvious to me, but I want to go with someone a little different, only because I'm still happy in the way of how consistent he's been, no matter what's going on around him. Quickly's
Mhm.
doing work, but I want to give the riser to RJ. I think RJ has really like whatever change he's made after a couple of weeks ago when he had those two really bad games
Right.
has been great. Like he is consistently just putting up points, and if you look at his shooting percentage every night, it's the same thing. Like he's
Yeah.
pretty efficient.
Yeah.
He had a couple bad plays today down the stretch where
It's gonna happen.
he's young, he's still going to make mistakes, and it's also going to happen when you're kind of like not the man, but you're one of the guys, right down the
Mhm.
stretch. Like the ball's in your hand, you got a lot of pressure, and you're going up against Kawhi Leonard, and it's a
That
lot
ain't easy.
it's a lot of pressure there. Um,
That ain't easy. Although that steal was nice, and I was looking for a foul call. They didn't give him no love. I was like, come on,
no,
we're at
no.
we're at home, we're at the Garden, and you're not gonna give him no love. Come on.
Speaking before I get to my person who's falling. Uh, the steal that was the second steal. There was a steal that Barrett had earlier where he grabbed the ball and he went to the hoop, and Luke Kennard just let him just go right up and get the layup. He
Yeah,
didn't.
he didn't let him.
That's
He
today.
forced his will.
Yeah, that's today's NBA. That's a big
Oh
difference
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
today's
yeah.
NBA and back in the day because
Yeah, you're gonna get smashed. You're gonna get knocked around, and
yeah.
back in the day, you ain't getting that easy layup.
Oh no, where's Oakley when you need him, right? That
Yeah, it's
definitely was
crazy.
a different play. But
It's crazy.
I think the person whose stock is falling, this could be a tie. That's how bad it is. But I'm gonna go back to it again. I'm gonna say Kevin Knox. Once again, Kevin Knox.
He didn't see no time on the floor today.
No, he was ghost, yo. He was Patrick Swayze. It was Demi Moore all over again. Like,
And to be honest, though, which is crazy, because if I was Tibbs and the way I seen Rivers play today, I would have had a quick quick pull on Rivers today because he checked out. Like for me, he wasn't in today's game. I would have quickly taken him out and brought in Knox.
Yeah.
Just to see what he had, because right now, like the way Rivers played, he was getting into a position to score and just kept bringing it back out. It's like, what are you doing? Shoot the ball.
Yeah. No,
He did it. It was crazy. So
and I don't know, like, unless there was let me just double check something real quick.
he checked out today. I think he only shot once. And Obi only shot once today too. Like crazy.
And there was
Obi shot twice.
There was still a 10-man
1-3.
rotation.
What was that? Yeah, 10-man rotation
today. So yeah.
I would have had a quick like, yo, you ain't giving me what I need right now. Not off the bench, and you just checked out. You keep bringing the ball out. You're making turnovers, silly. You know, he shot an air ball, and then his head was all like, I was like, come on.
Yeah, no, I don't know what's going on. And another person who you know, is just not really becoming a focal point, or he's in the doghouse. Frank Ntilikina is buried somewhere. He's under the Knick rafters. He's like, I don't know where they got him.
They don't have room for him. They don't have room for him anymore. And he, you know, you have to look at the kind of decisions that the Knicks have made this offseason, bringing in Rivers, you bringing in Burks, you know, and then already having Bullocks, who started the year before. Frank was, you know, already losing time last year, you know, and same with losing time last year. So now behind Morris and all those guys. So either these kids got to figure it out and be more aggressive. I mean, the only way you're going to find playing time is being more aggressive and taking your shots when you get them. Quickly is a prime example of that. He may be running sets that the coaches ask him to run, but he also is freestyling a lot of the times. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, you're right. And remember, we talked about this before. My biggest knock on Quickly was that he wasn't being aggressive enough. Like the guy, you know, he can do things on the court. Take your shot, and he's definitely doing it now. Yeah. But like guys like Knox, you know, Knox's big question has been his motor.
He's got a freestyle. You got to get in there, and you can't just focus on that three. That's an element of it. But also, if the defense is coming at you hard, you have to hit them with the pump, and you got to go to the basket. You know what I mean? You have to have that a part of your game in this today's NBA. You can't be just all the way three. And that's the thing with someone like Toppin is like you can shoot the shot, but it's not your forte. You know, you obviously know that. So if your forte is going to the basket, find ways to get to the basket. Find a ways to cut into the lane and get the ball where you like to get it. You know what I mean?
I agree.
It's a lot of times where they're just standing out, spread out in the wing, and then they do a pick and roll and no one's moving. They're just stagnant, waiting for that three ball. It's like, you know, that's what you get with like veteran players like a Batum, where you're going to find them cutting in places. You know, same thing with Jeff Green. They're going to cut into the lane and they're going to give, you know, your point guard options. You know, if the only option you got is getting off your feet and trying to spin around in order to find someone to pass it to, that's not an option.
Right.
You know? So
no, you're right. I agree with you, man. I think that they definitely need to, you know, either you know, figure out a way to get more aggressive and be a part of the team, or just be resigned to the fact that you're not going to be a part of the Knicks that much longer, because something's going to happen.
So true. That's so true. Because you're just going to become an option at this point for trade or some other thing, you know, and you better hope that, you know, some other team finds value in you, because if you're not showing it on the court, you're stuck. You're not just going to be able to get anywhere, you know, that you want, you know, where you want to get in life, you know, like an opportunity to start for a team. You're not going to get it. So,
yeah, well, I'm hoping that, you know, something gets worked out for one of these two guys. You know, one of my friends, Greg, you know, I call him the stats guy. You know, we were talking about Ntilikina with another one of my friends, Prophet, and the conversation was, you know, the obvious, how Ntilikina is not really part of the lineup, and not, he's very, fragile as far as his health goes. But one of the things that was brought up was the fact that Ntilikina was shooting pretty good when he did play earlier in the season. Like he
Yeah,
wasn't bad. Um, and actually, on catch and shoot shots, he was 100%,
right.
which was interesting. So I just think that right now somehow the funny thing about Tibbs is he rewards guys for playing defense. Like you play
Mhm.
strong defense, you get playing time. And
Right.
Ntilikina is a defensive player. So the fact that he's not on the court, that is scary, bro.
He didn't play good defense when he was on the court. he got beat back door a bunch of times. So that's a part
Yeah.
of the problem. It's like you can't get beat back door multiple times in the NBA when you know you're not supposed to be pressed up on someone who's faster than you. Like there's just certain things you need to know as a player. And I just it's one of those things when you look at Frank, he got potential, but again, can you make room for him? So let's say they make a move with Buddy Hield or for Buddy Hield, right? And Frank is not in that, right? So there goes an option right there.
Hmm.
You bring him in and you move Bullock or you move Burks. Now you have an opportunity. He gets more playing time off the bench. It all depends on what the Knicks plan to do and who they move. If they move anyone. If they don't move anyone, sorry, but Frank ain't getting no time unless someone gets injured or runs into this COVID situation. And the same thing goes for Knox, because right now he's the odd man out now that Bullock and Burks are healthy. You know,
Hmm. I agree.
unless Toppin somehow doesn't like show up, and then they start moving that playing time to Knox. But I think they're gonna give Toppin a shot first. So
Well, hopefully the next 2 to 3 weeks of basketball games, we start to see a lot more of what the Knicks have as a whole unit. Some of these other guys that haven't been getting as much playing time are getting a little bit more playing time because the schedule gets a little softer because their schedule has been ridiculously crazy. It's been hard as hell. So
they've been hit crazy with that schedule, and I think this is the time where we have an opportunity to get our bearings. You know
right,
what I mean? And
yeah.
you could start seeing some, and that's what I'm saying. Like you get a nice little break between. I think they play two right back to back. They play tomorrow, and then they play on. Is it Monday?
They
Well,
play
tomorrow
tomorrow.
is Monday.
Tomorrow's Monday. They play tomorrow, and then they play Wednesday.
They play
So
Wednesdays,
home and
and
home.
then they have the weekend. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna throw up the schedule. So let me just
Right.
do that, and then we're going in that direction now. Just throw up
Yeah,
the
buddy.
schedule.
Yeah, I think
Let's see here.
it's gonna be interesting. See what they got going on.
All right. Do you see that there?
I do see it. I do see it. Yeah.
Wait, that's a little. Gotta change the screen function here. Let's try that again. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Um, we go here, make this a little larger.
Yeah,
See it, make it visible.
I like something about home and home games. I don't know. I like them. They're kind of. I mean, they're a little better when there's fans in the stands, but
Right.
um. Uh oh. Think I might have lost my brother John. Let me get him back in here. Hold on. Uh, so, you know, while we wait for John to get back in here, I think that the Knicks definitely have to continue to play the same type of winning style defense. They're still rated as the number one defensive team in the league, which is incredible. It's great to see the Knicks have an identity of some sort. Yeah, they may have their issues on offense and struggle to get open shots, but the fact that they're able to have a defensive presence the way
Oh,
they have.
man, sorry about that.
Oh, no problem, no problem at all. Get you back in here the right way. You fix the screen situation right here because it's looking a little crazy.
That was wild. I went to go grab some schedule and then just took me right out.
Yeah, man. Don't you worry about it. We get this straight for you, buddy.
Dude, I hope you was able to hold it down without me.
I think so. I don't know why. It's it's maximizing the screen and it's doing a little funky thing right now. It's like acting a little weird, having some really odd things happen today.
Okay.
All right, here we
Let's
go.
see here.
There we go. Um, I
So
think
let's
you
see
should be
here.
good now. I think it'll pop up the
Yeah.
correct way.
Okay. So let me try to share. Let's see where I'm at here. All right. Now I'm sharing.
There we
That
go.
look good on
Hey,
your end?
now we're cooking.
There we go. Cool. So um so we have two back-to-backs right now. So we have the tomorrow with the Bulls, Wednesday with the Bulls, and then we got all the way until Saturday. So we got Thursday and Friday to work on some things, you know. Um, and are we home? No, we're away. We're in
That's
Chicago,
a
but it's still
really
East
weird.
Coast.
This isn't
Is
even
that's
home.
Midwest?
I don't think I've ever seen a game where they play the team back to back and it's road and road. That's weird.
Yeah. So they're well Chicago. So they're what that considered, that
Hmm.
that doesn't that's like what
Could that be
how long is
wrong?
that travel? No, I think that's right. I think they're just keeping them there because they don't want folks to travel like that.
Wow.
And
Huh.
then we got two at New York, so that may be like what a 4 hour flight or something like that, or maybe less 2 hour flight
Hmm.
um, to the Midwest. Is that a Midwest Chicago? Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, that I guess they consider that kind of the Midwest. Yeah, it's a different time zone.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, so they're going. I think they got an opportunity to maybe get a practice in on a Friday. They'll travel after Wednesday night. They'll get into New York Wednesday night. They'll rest on Thursday, practice Friday, and then have a home game against the Blazers and then the Heat back. Kind of back to back. And they're both afternoon games, so you got to get up for those. So
Hmm. That's interesting.
yeah,
Oh
and we got the Heat back to back. We got the Bulls back to back. So it's not getting any easier. yeah.
yeah.
Although Miami hasn't played well recently, but I could see them kicking into high gear, sooner than later.
No, I hear you. I agree with you. Definitely seems like this could be interesting. You know,
Imagine a layover in Chicago and we come away with a trade. Oh.
hey,
Put
eh, eh,
it in there. Put it in
I
there.
like what you're doing there. I love the fact that listen, if we could beat them that first game and really kind of like tweak the iron there a little bit. Listen,
You
you got
see,
to move.
Zach, you want to go.
Listen, let's talk to the upper brass. Hey, look, we took the first one from you, but make this little Zach trade happen. Maybe we'll,
he
Wednesday game. I don't
he
know.
wasn't happy against when they played Portland. He wasn't happy after that game winning
No,
the
no,
Damian
no, he wasn't.
put
No, he
together.
wasn't. Yeah, no,
So
he was
hey,
definitely not happy.
I've seen Stranger Things on Netflix, but yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Well, I mean, look, if I'm looking at the schedule, honestly, uh, I see the Knicks winning a good amount of these games. Definitely, if we're going by if we're going to Sunday, then I'd say the Knicks could win three of these games. Um,
Wow,
yeah,
they're
no, no,
going for three, huh?
yeah, yeah, yeah. 'Cause I would say so. I'm too aggressive right now. That the Knicks mentality is pretty hard. I would say
Yeah.
four. I would say four because you know how I feel about revenge games.
Okay.
I think the Knicks are going to beat Portland.
Really?
Yeah, no, I like the revenge game there. I like it. I like the fact that they realize. Remember, I told you Trailblazers had good success against them with that zone. And I think they know a way to bust that zone open now. So
Yeah.
I think I see the Knicks winning that game. I see the Knicks winning both games against the Bulls.
Hmm.
Right, I said it. No
Okay.
Michael Jordan here. No Scottie Pippen.
Okay.
So I would
We're
give.
only talking about, Bam and,
Nope.
Jimmy and Tyler
No,
Hero and
no, no. I would
it's
say the Knicks
not
might.
enough, huh?
No, the Knicks might lose that first game against the Heat. First time seeing them, or vice
Yeah.
versa. But I think it's the first time seeing them. But I think they could win the next one.
Okay. Okay. I
Yeah,
got you.
yeah,
So you got them winning at least 3 out of the 4.
I do, I do.
Okay. Cool.
And I also got them. I mean, we're not don't need to really go into the following week, but I see the Wizards on the schedule, so I'm looking good at that.
That's looking tasty, right?
Yeah,
That's got to be a win for us.
yeah. Well, yeah. Listen, I don't know. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking 3 out of 4, man.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I think we're going to be able to pull off wins against the Bulls, and I think I'm guessing I'm gonna lean that it'll be the Heat game and not the
Hmm.
Trailblazer game, just
Hmm.
because the Heat has been played up to their opposition yet. They haven't really gotten their flow yet.
Hmm.
And if we could get them at any point in the season that they aren't, you know, the Heat, then that this would be the time. So let's see. I think just Damian is a killer, and he's just a different animal to defend. So for me, I'm skeptical with that game. I think if we play him close, we could potentially take that, but I don't know. Not with the game winners he's been hitting.
No, I agree, but I think that going into that game the next time around, the Knicks seen them. They
Hmm.
have a better idea of what they're gonna do towards them, like what's their defensive plan. I think
Right.
they'll be better off against them. However, the one thing I didn't think about when I was making my prediction when they played them the first time around, and had I known that, I probably would have said the Blazers were going to win. I forgot that what one of the things that swayed me was the fact that their big man was going to be out of the game, but I
Right.
forgot that they had Enos Cantor.
Yeah, yeah. Cantor played
Yeah,
strong.
Cantor was really good, and I'm not saying I expected him to play as well defensively,
Not defensively, right?
but I did
But
forget rebounding that helps. Second
yeah,
chance
that's his thing.
opportunity. Yeah,
Yep. Yeah, and he really showed up defensively against in that game. I don't see him running that same like defensively. I don't think he'll be that good the next time around, but he's gonna grab boards like you said, and he's gonna score buckets when he's in there. So
yeah,
and they got some good talent around that team. McCollum was out. I expected that to be, like an opportunity for us to kind of like take advantage, but we couldn't take advantage of that. So I don't
no,
know.
I agree with you, man. Well, I mean, listen, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, they just keep, they ride the momentum of how they've been playing overall.
Hmm.
With learning from the losses and building on the wins.
Facts. Yeah, man. This is gonna be good, man. I'm looking forward to it. So uh let's see how this all turns out for us. If we get the 3-1 victory this coming week, and we got a lot more to talk about that week for sure. If we make a trade,
Huh?
listen, if we make a trade, do you promise we go on Sportscaster
Oh yeah,
and
no,
do a
it'll be
live
good
one?
news. We'll do that. We'll definitely get on Sportscaster
You
and
gotta you
break
gotta do
down.
it.
Yeah. No, definitely. That I'm cool
Yeah,
with
yeah.
that.
All right, cool,
This has been
cool.
another great episode. We got it out. We get through any obstacles because we're still Nick fans. And that's what Nick fans do.
Still
Get
Knicks
through
fans.
everything.
That's right. We never hold our head down. That's
No,
right.
no, no.
That image, what was blasphemy, and I still to this day I can't understand why would anybody go to Madison Square Garden and put bags over their heads. You remember that image?
I
Like
remember.
that for me was like, come on, man. Like you don't do that. You hold your chin up high,
Yeah,
whether we
you know,
win or we lose. You know what I mean?
I think people when they do stuff like that, they don't think about the repercussions of how that lives in eternity.
I know, man.
Like
It's
then when
like
you,
a sour spot.
yeah, you know that.
Ugh.
It's the worst. It's the worst. Get out of here, guys. Don't do that stuff.
Listen, listen. As long as you and I are on the same page, I'm good money, man. Because you're the person who I'm going to sit next to in games. You know what I mean? We're going to sit side by side. We're going to root on our Knicks. You know what I'm saying? We may have our little kid, our little ones by our sides too, rooting on for the Knicks, but it ain't gonna happen, man. I'm never gonna sway to that kind of negativity.
Yeah, I've
That's
been around
crazy.
too long. I've been
Don't
around
do
too
that.
long. I've seen too much negative. Let's not forget. I'm also I'm a Met fan and a Giant fan. I've seen all the negative.
Yeah. Listen, Giants haven't been too bad to us, so let's
That's true.
see.
That's true. They're definitely Big Blues hold it down for me for a little bit. I'm okay with that. But my Knicks, they're
For a
coming.
little bit.
It's coming.
They're on their way, man. Listen, we've seen worse times, and right now we're in the upward trajectory. We're playing well. We're could potentially make the playoffs depending on how the season continues to go. And look, we just gotta be thankful that we're not just like what was the terminology? They're just packing it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's what they were doing last year, packing it in game to game. It was like you just didn't see any effort. So now at least we're seeing some effort. We have a structure. We got good coaching. We got some young players. Let's see where we take them.
I agree with you, man. This has been another good episode. Still Nick fans. Podcast episode number 7. Appreciate you, my
Yeah, man.
brother. Everybody out
Appreciate
there,
you.
thanks for tuning in. As I say, continue to rock with us. We're gonna get better. We're gonna work through everything we deal with, and just figure out a way to keep coming out and bringing you some content that you'll enjoy and want to keep viewing. Definitely continue to tune in and support. Hit that like button, subscribe, jump on an
Right.
Instagram. Still Nick fans. Um,
Share
on
out with your
Twitter.
friends and
You know what I
family.
mean? Let everybody know. Also, we're on SoundCloud. Hey, you want to work out at home? You can't go to the gym right now, but you want to do some sit-ups. Get your little calisthenics going. But maybe on a long car ride. You ain't got nothing to listen to. You don't want to hear
Right.
Hall and Oates again for the 100th time. Put on that Still
Right.
Nick Fans podcast.
Hey, why not, right? As long
Yeah,
as you're a Knicks fan, listen, what you're gonna get from us is strictly positivity. We're gonna get a different viewpoint that you probably see in other stations or other shows. Um, but again, it's just our theory and kind of what we see and what we enjoy about our Knicks. So thank you for tuning in and keep supporting.
yep. Yeah, thanks again, man. Take it easy. We'll
All
see you
right,
next time. We're out
take
of here.
care.
Brother John.
Peace, brother.
All right, man.
Later.